Hey there, and welcome to Hot Seat. And we are here to explore the reasons of why. What's the why? What's the purpose? What drives business owners to do what they do? I'm your host, Kelvin Holiday, and I am enjoying the fact that we can explore people's why and motivate others. So stay tuned for this exciting new episode. 15 minutes, fast paced. Let's do it. Well, welcome again, everybody, to another Hot Seat. We are here with David Guest. Now, I've known David for a number of years. He's got 25 years experience at both mentoring and coaching business owners. And where I got to know David from was an event that he runs all about education and making sure that businesses are actually getting some great content. So a real big business education sort of area of event. So David, that's been a pleasure, and it's going to be awesome to get you to come in onto the hot seat, buddy.
And I'm here.
You're here. Look
Hey,
out.
Kel.
Look out, everybody. Here he is, mate. Absolutely the man, the legend. Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, and yourself.
Mate.
Awesome to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, mate, and we actually caught up in Bali not so long ago, mate. It was just by accident. You know, I was over there and you were over there, so that was a bit of an experience.
Yeah, it was great catching up, and nice place to catch up too, overlooking the ocean there.
Yeah, what it was a beautiful spot. But mate, you've been in the area of mentoring and coaching business owners for nearly 25 years, which is awesome. What got you started in that sort of area?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kel. I've got to think through the right answer for you. It's so long ago. My business coaching and mentoring started really from, let's go back to when I was 5 years old. And I don't know about you, but when I was young, my parents were immigrants in the country. They didn't speak English very well, so they ran their own business because they had to, because they couldn't speak the language. So they started running any business they could to make money. And when I was young, rather than paying for a babysitter, they used to pay me wages to go and help them run these businesses. So I was the slave labor. I used to get 50 cents a day, tax-free, just to help do whatever I could do. And I didn't think much of it, but all I remember my parents saying to me was, you know, we run a business so that we can make money to send you to school so you can become educated and become a professional, and you can become whatever you like, a doctor or a lawyer, right? Because I don't know if you recall, in those days, that was pretty much it, right?
Oh, yes. You got to have that
right?
PhD or whatever.
Yeah. And I knew no different. All I knew is that my parents worked really hard and they didn't make a lot of money. And the money they made, they invested in us going to get a good education so that we could become professionals. The problem that they didn't anticipate is that I'm not an academic. So I was one of the worst kids in the class, and I failed a couple of times in my time at school. And I never made it through VCE, never succeeded. And turns out that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just prefer doing stuff than sitting there listening to someone tell me what to do. So I started trying to become a professional, but then I started questioning this whole idea of why do my parents want me to be educated and not run my own business? And their idea was that, you know, you make more money as a professional than a business owner. And I said, but how come there's some people out there making millions and millions as business owners and other people are starving to death running businesses as well? And what I realized is it's not about running the business, it's about who you are as a person. And so it sort of set me on this path of understanding the difference between the mindset of a successful business owner and the mindset of a person who just goes to do work because they have to. And so I started reading books, and the first one was, probably you heard about this one, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yes. Very good one.
Yeah, classic book. And it's funny because you read a book like that and it basically says you get paid what you're worth. So you want to become rich, you have to become rich in how you think, and you need to become more valuable as a person. So the second book was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's into personal development that hasn't read those two should go out and buy them straight away because they're sort of timeless. But the thing that taught me was that people who decide they want to run a business have a choice when they start out. They can choose to be business owners or they can choose to be self-employed. And the distinction is subtle, but a self-employed person is basically a person with a job with an unreliable paycheck. And a business owner is a person who has decided that they're going to make a career out of being profitable as a business rather than as an employee.
Yeah.
Very subtle distinction, but it sort of led me down this path of people starting to ask questions about, well, you're pretty knowledgeable around sales, marketing, and business. Where did you get all that from? and it was reading books, listening to audio programs, going to seminars. And then I got to a point where people would say, well, can you just sort of save me reading the book and just tell me what to do? And that's where the coaching started from, because I realized that by working with people on their personal development and their mindset, you can make people quite successful and quite wealthy just by changing the way they do things on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah. Well, and it's such an important thing. What you've just said is you experience something, you actually decide, you made a decision to go, okay, this is something that you need to grow in, and then you just shared it on with other people. All right. Yeah. You become, in some respects, like that funnel, the reservoir of information, then you can actually share that out with others. Love that. Absolutely love it. So what other career paths? So you're 25 years in that. So
yeah, so let's go back before that. I spent 10 years in sales. I'll go back even before that. So when I dropped out of school, I went and got a trade. So I became an electronics technician, and I worked at Channel 7 for about 8 years. Okay. And I used to build outside broadcast vehicles, and I used to go to the tennis, the footy, the golf as a technician. So I'd sit there watching sport all day, getting paid to do it, right? Which was an awesome job, by the way. But the problem is, yeah, but it didn't pay very well. So that was all good until I had my first kid, and all of a sudden I realized the cost of bringing up kids.
Yeah.
And I had a sort of very interesting lesson when I sort of went to my boss and I said, look, I need to make more money because I've got kids now and it's getting expensive. And being public service style work, it was like, well, we can't give you a pay rise unless you are here for a certain number of years, or unless the person in front of you leaves or dies. And it was like, okay, so really I can't control how much money I make in a job, right? Yeah. I'm sort of stuck here. And that's when I started my own business. And I read another book, which I'll put on the list, which is Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth Revisited.
Beautiful book. Yeah.
And that book tells you, hey, build a business, and you build a business system. And so I read this book and I said, oh my God, what am I doing in a job? I'm going to go and start a business and follow these instructions. First business, failed.
Yeah. You had the entrepreneurial seizure, as you would call it.
Exactly. Then I did it again. I thought, wrong business. I was in the wrong industry because I went into IT and I started a little IT company, and I was a technician, and I used to fix people's computers and build computers, and I couldn't make a cent out of it. All I did was work really hard and make no money. I said, bugger this, I'm not doing IT. I'm going to go into a retail business. So I opened a supermarket, a mini supermarket chain of 2. Same problem, right? I started this business. I filled the store with stock. I got people coming in the front door, and I was working ridiculous hours. And I thought, this book tells you what to do, but it doesn't show you how to do it. And so I sort of fell on my sword and I said, I got to learn some more skills. So I went and got a job in sales. Now, I'd never been a salesperson in my life. And I know I sound like I communicate well now, but that's after spending 35 years communicating. And so I got my first sales job, and it was an hour away from home. And I was getting paid $28,000 a year, which in these days terms is very low, but in those days terms, it was still low. Yep. But the point was, it was the only person that would accept me as a salesperson without a sales track record. Gotcha. But an hour to work and an hour back listening to audio programs just accelerated my learning. And so I went from 28,000 over a 10 years period in sales to 280,000, so nearly 10 times the wage, just by learning how to sell, by implementing it, and then by now becoming a sales manager. So teaching other people sales skills, communication skills, all those things that I've been reading through these books. And then I was ready, because at that point in time, I was already a mentor to salespeople. But then I thought, now's my chance to get out of corporate and move into small business. And that's when the business coaching and mentoring side started in 2000.
Okay. So I'm hearing a pattern here. It is get an experience, all right? Have some experience, get some motivation, all right? Then get the education side of things. Educate yourself in the areas you need to be for business, not necessarily the academic world or the school world, but the acumen you need to do the work, and then go off and do it. And once you've learned that skill, you've then gone to that next level of now you can actually help others do the same thing. Yeah. And it's just a great model. It's a learn, do, teach. And I love that, because once you become that teacher, that person that, because you don't ever stop learning, do you? I can imagine that those 3 books are definitely not the only 3 books. I can see in your background there a whole bunch of others. All right, so maybe what's some of the other books? You've led us through the 3 classics. What's some other ones you might be able to share with the folks today that might really motivate them to get going?
I'll tell you some curious ones, and then I'll tell you some more mainstream ones. So one of my favorite books is a book called Psycho-Cybernetics.
Okay.
You may not have heard of it.
I've not heard of that one, no.
right, written by Maxwell Maltz, who used to be a plastic surgeon, and he invented the idea of visualization. And he worked out that scientifically that when you visualize something vividly enough, your brain can't tell the difference between something made up and something that actually you experienced. So visualization is a very powerful tool that most people use in goal setting now. And it's
Yeah.
about imagining success. So when you set goals, they say set them in the present tense, not in the future tense. And the whole idea is to trick your brain into thinking that you're already successful. So that's a really good book. Another one I would suggest on goal setting is Life in Half a Second by Matthew Michalowicz. Another awesome book on goal setting. And then we start moving into business books. And lately, some of my favorite, and it's probably more author driven. Elon Musk is a great person to follow, just from mindset point of view. Not very charismatic as a leader, but very progressive, right? And then if you want charisma, you can go to people like Richard Branson. So there's a whole lot of different books out there, and I can't even mention all of them. What you see behind you is about 10% of my library. The rest is at home, or it's on the Kindle now. So we don't even have physical versions anymore.
Yeah.
But there's just so many. And I think the trick is, I learned this years ago, if you look at the word learn, it's just earning with L plates on, right? So if you want to make more money, if you want to earn more money in your life, start learning by reading books. And every book I read, I always look at it this way. And one of my mentors taught me this. He goes, a book will cost you $20. Once you read it, if you learn one idea out of that book that increases your effective hourly rate by $1, you think about how much the return on investment of that book is.
Absolutely.
So when people ask me, where should I invest my money? I say, how about in your own shoes, like in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because there's one person that's guaranteed to never leave you for the whole of your life.
Yeah.
And that's one person that you should actually invest in.
Yeah.
So to me, education is not something that I don't encourage people or push people to learn stuff. I say, you've got to work this out yourself. If you're not happy with what you're earning or how your life is right now, there's so many books available to you that will teach you how to do things better, but you have to be a prolific learner.
Yeah.
And this is just the mindset.
Learners are earners. Yeah, I like
Exactly.
that's a great little key phrase. One of the other books that I love is Jimmy Collins, Good to Great. So
Yes.
taking that, don't just stay where you are, keep it simple. He calls it his hedgehog principle. Keep it simple, just work out those little elements and go for it, and it turns you, so if you just get those three simple elements, so what is
Yep.
it? Your purpose, what are you good at, and what's your economic engine? But you get those right, all
Yep.
right, and away you go. So that comes back to me to ask you that question. Why?
Why?
Why? Yeah, we've heard the mechanics behind it, but I want to dig deeper into David. What keeps you going? Because I imagine it's not all, it's not all bed of roses, that's for sure.
I had this conversation with my marketing manager today, and I said, people look at life as, there's a period of life where you earn money and then you go into retirement, right? And I don't even like the word retire, right?
Yeah.
Because it just means you're more tired than, retire.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my in-laws the other day, and they said, when are you going to retire? And I said, what do you mean retire?
Yeah.
And they said, when are you going to stop working? And I said, I don't work, right? I spend my whole life helping people become more successful in their lives. It's fun, right?
Yes.
And I do it for free, right?
Yeah.
And this is when you talk about why, right? I think if you're doing what you do for money, you're probably going to end up hitting a brick wall at some point in your life. If you're doing what you do as contribution, if you feel that it makes you a better person, if you feel you're helping other people, it's not work anymore.
Yeah.
And so my why is simple, right? I watched my parents struggle through running their own business and telling me I should go get a professional job. I got as close as I could to a professional job, and I ended up hitting a wall in terms of income and happiness. And then I tried many different career paths, and I realized that where I'd be the happiest is helping other people be successful. And the only way that I could possibly do that is to be successful in my own right.
Yes.
So I picked up a saying from Jack Welch in one of his books, and it was actually eat your own dog food. And he said, too many people out there are like the plumber with the leaky taps, right? If you're going to be selling something, you better back yourself by using your own product. And so when I saw this whole idea of being a business mentor or a business coach as a business opportunity, I said, well, if I'm teaching people how to be successful and the stuff that I'm teaching works, I should just use it myself.
Yes.
So everything we teach, we use within our own business. So people say, well, you talked a bit about having, a workflow for your for business. I go, yeah, here's ours, right? And so it becomes super easy because I always test ideas that I read in books out in my own business before I put them into my own programs. And that's one of the ways that everything we talk about is pretty much coming from what we do.
Yeah, mate, that's just gold. And I'm just going to say here as well is, Dave, you've been awesome with the amount of books and different resources and helping people to, to learn to earn part. One of the things that I struggle with, and this is why I wear glasses now, is because of course of dyslexia. So the other alternative to reading books, that's a great way, but there's also hanging out with the right people and conferences and seminars or audio books. Like, the learning is the key. Books is one methodology. And I would say, folks, if you haven't actually connected with David, a part of this podcast and everything there'll be some links and everything here for be able to get in contact with David if you want to be able to do that. So, Dave, you got a particular website or you got an email, or how would you like people to actually contact you?
Look, the easiest way is just jump on my website, which is outcomes.business. Or if you just Google David Guest, don't look for Liza Minnelli's ex-husband. Look for me. Okay. Because I'm not him, but he's dead now, so it's hard to sort of track him down, and it's spelled slightly differently. But on my website, well, one of the things I'm big on, Cal, is this whole idea of education should be free, right? And it's freely available now. We have the internet, which we didn't have when we started in this business. Yep. It was like you had to go and find bookstores that had business books. Now there's more business information available than ever before in everyone's hand, in their mobile phone. So if you jump on my website, we've got a whole lot of videos, tutorials, right? Awesome. I want people to learn how to run businesses, not because I want to make money out of it, but because they should be, like, if you choose to go into business, I think that you have an obligation to be successful.
Yes.
Right. And that's a big thing for me. So we provide all the training online for people who want to start up or who are in their smallest part of their business, so that they can actually get the basics in play. I've also got a book list on there, all the books I've read that I recommend. So I don't put everything I've read down there, just the ones that I think are good. And there's probably a list of about 150 to 200 books on there that I'd recommend. Another one, as you were talking, is Dan Sullivan, who runs a company called Strategic Coach in the States. He wrote a book called Who, Not How. And for people in business, if you're self-employed, it's a job. Let's just face reality, right? Yeah. A business requires people, and you need to find the right people and get the right people on the bus. And that's another line out of Good to Great.
Yeah, absolutely. The right bus. Mate, we're going to have to finish off here, but I'm going to ask you that final question, mate. What's your hot tip to motivate people to really keep going in business?
I will put it this way, right? For most people, if I ask them, what will their business look like when it's finished? They look at me cross-eyed like, what are you talking about? I have no intention of not working anymore. And I say, that's not the point. The point is, if I go to a builder and I say, build me a house, he'll say, how many stories do you want? And I'll say, oh, don't worry, just start. And they'll think I'm crazy, right? But most people in business have no idea what they're building. They just go to work. Yeah. So my hot tip is you decide what will your business look like when it's finished. And finished will be one of three things, right? It's either going to be finished as in sold, finished as in running under management, or finished as in you retire and the doors get closed. And 80% of businesses will go into category number 3. They have no exit strategy. They have no idea of what they're building. They just go to work to make money. So if you can answer that one question and begin with the end in mind, which is what am I building here? That's probably one of my biggest tips to success in business.
That is gold, my friend. That is gold. Folks, David Guest, outcomes.business, an absolute legend. Make sure you connect up, get some of those free resources. David, this has been a pleasure, mate, and we'll catch up again soon.
Pleasure talking to you as well, Cal. Thanks very much.
Bye, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us here at Hot Seat. It's been an amazing, amazing event. It is a place where you can actually enjoy and be inspired by the why of others, the drive of the purpose and the passion. Please like and share this podcast with as many people as you can to inspire them to make a difference in this world. Have an awesome day. Unleash.